Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Things Metaphysical podcast with Kellie and Gail. This is episode 46. If you're
Yay.
watching this, please subscribe and like our channel on YouTube. And if you're watching this live with us, please feel free to ask any questions in the comments section.
Please do that.
Please ask questions. We love questions. All right, Kellie, you wanted to start us off with something today?
Sure. I thought we would talk about thought forms, at least at the beginning of the show today. A lot of people don't know what thought forms are, even to know to guard against them. If you are feeling something or thinking something with intensity, you are creating an energetic thing, being, whatever you want to call it, that is a thought form. You can send them to people. Inadvertently, you can do this. If you have a beef with someone and you're really hating on someone, you can literally send them bad energy. If it progresses and you are so angry around your own place, whether it's a workspace or where you live, you can actually create your own poltergeist activity. And I've had so many people that have called me out for paranormal activity in their house. And I go, and what we find is it is you've created your own problem. Poltergeists can be difficult to get rid of because it requires you to go back and rethink how you created it in the first place. You can actually create your own energetic ball of nuisance. It can be to the point where it is sort of threatening. It can be quite menacing, and people don't realize you've created that. They've created it themselves. So I thought we would talk about that because the way the energy on the earth is right now, it is so heavy. And so many people are screaming and yelling at each other. And what they're doing is creating thought forms. And when you have that much energy created by people who are angry and they're upset and they're judgmental and all of these emotions that are not really nice to be throwing out into the world, it's perpetuating itself. Thought forms can actually link with other people's thought forms if they're of the same energetic value. So then you've got a bigger and bigger and bigger ball of yuck to get through. And I really think that's what is happening right now on the planet. I mean, it is worldwide. It's not just something that we did in the States or that Europe did. It's everywhere. So that's where I wanted to start.
Okay. Welcome to all our viewers today. And if you guys have questions, please put them in the comments section. And we will be happy to answer them. The thing that I wanted to say to that, and we talked a little bit about this before we went live, is that oftentimes when you're sensitive to energy, when other people are creating those negative thought forms against you. And you sound like you're bananas because it's like, God, why is this Yeah, I just have this feeling and it feels like this person, but it feels yucky.
Right. Why am I feeling daggers being thrown at me? It takes different forms. Sometimes it can feel like a cloud. Sometimes it can feel like someone is literally throwing daggers at you. And it's something to be aware of, and it's something to learn how to be aware of.
So one of the questions is once we figure out the source, can we transmute the thought form ourselves?
You can. It takes a concerted effort, and it may take 2 or 3 rituals to do it. Please do not ever send it back. We want to transmute it. We want to make it into love and light. We do not want to send it back. When you start sending things back at people, what you're doing is you're increasing their strength to bother you in the future. So don't do that. Usually what I do is I literally sit down and light some candles and Sometimes I will use chanting,
Mhm,
sometimes not. If I know for sure where it's coming from, I will play music that that person likes,
mhm,
and I'll just fill the room with love
mhm.
and, let that be the conduit back. And what normally happens is they just leave you alone. They don't know why, but they will just leave you alone.
I think it depends how connected you are, because
Yeah.
I've actually done that. And once I've like transmuted it, I get a phone call from that person who it came from. Like nothing ever happened. I'm like, you just bombarded me with a ton of crap
Yeah.
and I've transmuted it. And you know I transmuted it. So what? Now you're going to talk to me about it personally?
Yeah. Yeah. And that often happens with people we're very, very close to.
Mhm.
If it has gotten to that point, though, my new mantra is block and delete because you do not need to be constantly protecting yourself from people you're close to. You
Mhm.
don't need them in your life. So I have gotten to the point where instead of going through this, and in my situation personally, it's been on about an every 4 or 5 year schedule with the same person. And I've had enough. I don't need that. So I'm not playing anymore. And it really does, if you're having these encounters with the same person over and over, it starts to feel like a tennis match of sorts. It's okay, how much can you transmute now? Boom, and it's just ridiculous to spend a lot of your time and energy doing that over and over and over again. It's better just to let them go.
So I'm going to ask you my favorite question. Are there any crystals that you can use to help with this?
What I use, I actually don't use a crystal.
Okay.
If you're going to use a crystal, I find hematite's very good, black obsidian's very good. The best place to start is with a clear quartz crystal because you can infuse any kind of protection or energy or whatever you want into that. What I use is a talisman that was given to me by a Native American shaman. And when I feel like I'm under attack, I wear it.
Mhm.
When I do my ritual, I hang it up so I can see it above the candle. Be careful you don't catch yourself on fire. But I've almost done that too. Be careful. And that's what I use. But it's personal to whoever, to each one of us. I have a good friend who uses a cross. That's what she uses. And it really depends. I know one person in particular that uses a seashell. So it just depends on whatever talks to you.
Personally, I like labradorite. Like when I'm really under attack, I have like 7 labradorite wands and I'll make a circle and sit in
Yeah.
it.
Well, I also use a lot of salt, and I've said this before. I use rock salt like I'm a ice cream manufacturer or something, or that I live in the North Pole, perhaps. And I refresh my salt circle
Mhm,
every time I start feeling my energies change.
mhm,
And it's just something that I do for me. And I learned that trick a long time ago. It works for me.
mhm. So again, I think some of it's trial and error. I've been calling on spiritual bodyguards for assistance and grounding crystals. Okay, that works too. Again, just be careful who you're really calling in
Right.
because there are tricksters. So just make sure that the beings that you're really calling in that you know and they're really there to protect you. So,
Yeah. Especially when you're under attack.
mhm,
Psychic distress signals go out amongst the universe. And that also, when that happens, what's happening is the darkness is being alerted. Hey, there might be something going on over here. We need to go check it out. And if you're not really, really careful who you're calling in,
mhm,
you can accidentally let in some of these darker entities. And you'll know for
mhm,
sure the next day, if not that night,
mhm.
what has happened. But then you'll have to go through another ritual to escort them back out of your energy. It's
So,
just
what are your thoughts? And we haven't really ever talked about this on the show, but what are your thoughts about like gridding your space?
I do a lot of crystal grids.
Mhm,
in my space. I have also, if I'm feeling really under attack or like it's just something's wrong and I can't put my finger on it, I even do salt grids.
Mhm.
And,
What's a salt grid? Because I can hear all our viewers going, "What's a salt grid?"
well, you know how you would lay out crystals
Uh-huh.
in a crystal grid? I
Yeah.
do that with salt.
Okay.
And then I put a circle around it. And I was taught that again from a shaman.
Mhm.
And I do a lot of Native American kind of rituals. So that's always my fallback position. Now,
Mm,
there are a myriad of other ones that I've dabbled in through the years. And sometimes you want to kind of match the ritual to the energy you're feeling.
mhm.
So it's a good idea to have several different types of rituals from different cultures in
Mm,
your toolbox because you will find a reason one day to use every one of them.
okay. Do
One of
our
the
Go
hmm?
ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
one of the things that has worked really, really well when you feel like maybe something darker has come in,
Mhm.
or maybe somebody came into your house and after the fact you're like, "Oh, I wish they hadn't been here." Take a raw egg and put it in the corner of your room. If it is someone that has been in your house, put it in the corner of the corners, all of the corners of the room they've been
Now,
in.
are you talking an unbroken egg? Are you
Yeah,
talking
unbroken raw egg. Just put it in the corners. After a week, smash them either outside or in your toilet and flush it down. Whatever works for you. That is so simple.
Mhm,
And when I've done real estate in the past, and when I have had a house that won't sell, no matter what you do, I've done that.
mhm.
And always within a week, I get an offer. It just rids the negative energy. Someone
Someone
said it won't work if you have a cat. Trust me, I have a bazillion cats. You have to protect it sometimes. I actually have little wire baskets that are oddly enough used for collecting eggs, and I will put that on top of the egg.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll hide it with a towel or something like that. But you can do it if you want to try it. Um, you don't want cats breaking eggs all over your house. That would be horrible.
Back to the conversation about crystals, one of our viewers wrote, "I have crystals in each corner of my house, then I mentally connect them and make a dome over the property."
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah.
Mm,
And again, you can use whatever crystals call to you. I
mm,
always start with a quartz, but you can add to that. Whatever you use. For
mm.
some reason lately, I've been using a lot of agates. So, it can be whatever you use.
I'm trying to think of, like, what my go-to, um I once made a grid with sunstone, which was
Mhm.
really cool. All of a sudden, now I'm coughing. Interesting. Apparently, they don't want me to talk about this. So of course, I'm gonna talk about it. I had a huge grid with citrine that I made once, coconut agate, which is really cool. I have a coconut agate that has Mother Mary in it. Like you can literally see the whole shape of Mother
Oh,
Mary
nice.
in it. And but I think it's just finding grids that work for you. I mean, I know people teach classes on how to grid and stuff like that. I've always just done it more by intuition.
Yeah,
Like I have friends who teach the classes and I've sent them pictures and they're like, "Where the hell did that come from?" I'm like,
right.
somewhere out in the universe.
That's with everything of a spiritual or metaphysical nature. What you should do is what resonates with you.
Mhm,
There are a bajillion different things you can do in different ways, and they will all work.
mhm.
Do what you're drawn to do.
Because I think if we go back to thought forms that we started with, some of it is about intention in the thought
Right,
form that you're putting out around it and what the purpose of it is.
right. And that's the other thing. You can actually use thought forms to protect yourself.
Mhm,
It's any thought that you are passionate about, that you
mhm,
put your whole heart and soul into. And you can create thought forms that are of a protection nature or of a love nature. As long as you're not trying to control anyone else, you're good with any of that. I have played around with using positive thought forms to combat the darker thought forms that have been sent my way. And it's kind of amusing to have that play out. Well, just a little game I do amuse myself.
Even if it more triggered and not intentional. Not sure I understand that. So if the person who wrote that could expand on that a little bit more, or maybe it's just triggering the negative thought forms and it's not an intentional thing. I think it's about being aware of your thought process a lot because I know that sometimes I'll get more negative on some days at work. And then I watch how that affects my energy and then how it affects everything else I do. So, yeah, it, lots of different things right now will trigger us because one, we just had the full moon which was all about karmic clearing.
Yep.
So lots of us are being triggered by lots of different things because this is a period for our soul to grow and to work through some things that we signed up to work through, whether we want to or not.
Yeah, and I think what you're kind of talking about with it being triggered and creating a thought form, that is what I call an accidental thought form.
Mhm.
If you have created something through being triggered and you're kind of in a bad state of mind, um, you can reverse that. You can just reprogram your thought form. If you've accidentally been triggered and you've created something you really didn't mean to, just undo it.
All right,
You
so
know,
I'll share the example we were talking about. I was in a work environment once, and it was a very difficult work environment. So I was joking around that I was going to create a voodoo doll of somebody that I worked with. The problem was is I said it so often that this doll got created in the ethers and I could see it and they kept looking at me every day. I know I sound bananas. So it's funny because everyone around me said, "You can't do that. You're one of the few people I know who could actually make that thing work." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I mean, I never did anything with it. I sent the doll love and kindness and things like that. But, and then it went away within like a week. But it was just so interesting because I'm like, oh my God, now I've created this thing. What do I do with it?
and when I'm working with someone who has had poltergeist activity in their house that is directly linked to a thought form they created, that's kind of what I do with them. We sit down and talk through what happened.
Mhm.
And you can kind of see the thought form, the energy change. And if you are, I really didn't mean to do that, and that was an accident. And what I really meant to do was send this person or situation or whatever triggered it love.
Mhm.
You will reverse that and it'll be okay. But you have to put as much intention into reversing it as you did to create it.
Mhm.
And that takes some people a little time.
That it does, yes.
Yeah.
I was very grateful when the doll disappeared after about a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, any other questions that you guys have who are watching us or that you want us to talk about this evening? So, I've just been thinking about like every time you talk to someone or they're like, "Did you hear about this shooting? Did you hear about this shooting?" And it's just like, I think that part of what's going on is that we're all just so overloaded and no one is getting a break from anything. And we don't know how to nurture or soothe ourselves anymore because usually that was done by like watching things on TV or something like that. And
Not a good idea anymore, unless you're watching Shark Week.
there's like people need to rediscover how to self soothe
Yes.
It's something that a lot of us have gotten away. Now it's called self-care, but it's basically the same thing. When you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling like you can't take anymore, what can you do to bring that level down?
I usually go for a walk. I'll go outside. I'll listen to birds. I'll watch the dogs play. Um, Something that normally makes me smile, something that normally puts me in a peaceful state of mind. Now, it's funny because the other day I was kind of aggravated because someone was really getting on my nerves. And I went outside, and you know what I saw? I saw dogs fighting. I saw birds fighting. Everything was fighting. And I'm like,
Were
oh
they kung
no.
fu fighting?
No, they weren't kung fu fighting. Well, there were several rabbits in the fray. Um, it was eye-opening, you know? I'm like, "Oh, huh, I should probably work on my energy a little bit before I make birds and dogs and rabbits kill each other."
Well, they say our thoughts create our reality.
And it's very true.
Mhm,
And one thing, which is kind of a word of caution, I guess, the farther along on your journey you go,
mhm,
the more your thoughts affect your reality. It's not only that we become more aware of our thoughts, it's that truly the energy we send out does have an effect on our environment,
mhm.
which is something it took me a long time to get. I really had to get that. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I did that. Huh. Okay, I shouldn't do that again. You know, it was, but for me, that was a really eye-opening thing. It's like you always hear, and I've always said, your thoughts create your reality. But that the first day that I walked out, this has been a long time ago now, um, it hit me over the head. It was like being smacked right in the face with a two by four. It's like, see, you did this. Like, oh, wow, I did it. I should undo that now. So that's something else to be aware of.
The other thing to be aware of is your energy and your energy field, because I don't know in the beginning, I don't know how many light bulbs and street lights I blew by what was coursing through me because I didn't know how to manage it or
Right.
contain it. And like I remember my family would choke. It's like, stop touching lights. And then the jeweler, because I used to have watches that had batteries in them, they're like, it is not possible to burn out a battery watch every month. What are you doing?
It is possible.
It is possible because I'm doing it. So, it's just to be aware of how we, I guess the way I want to say it is to check in with yourself to see if, where your energy level's at. Because, like last night, I did readings with my friends on their page. And like, I haven't done readings on my page in a while. I've taken a break. So it's the first time I've done it in probably a month. And like, my spirit team was talking to me so fast that I started to stutter because I couldn't get the words out fast enough. And it was really funny. And I'm like, okay, you need to slow down. I know you're excited that I'm open and I'm participating. I get that, but slow it down because nothing is coming out in English. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is really funny what happens the farther along this path that we get. It's I closed a door one time in someone's face because I was having a conversation with my business partner at the time, and a secretarial person, somebody from the secretarial pool in the building our office was in, kept trying to interrupt us.
Mhm.
And he wouldn't close the door. So I heard her come out of the elevator, and I heard her take steps, and I just went like that, and the door closed. And he looked at me and went, "What?" I'm like, don't ask. It was an intention. It was an in the moment thing, and I couldn't get to the door fast enough to close it. And I haven't done it again, but I sure did it then, and it freaked people out.
Mhm.
Really freaked people out. So you kind of got to be careful there. I thought it was funny.
I probably would have been cracking up.
Yeah, I was. It was a serious meeting we were trying to have, and I did not appreciate, come back later, come back later, come. No, just don't come back. So you kind of have to be careful. That was an example of me not realizing what I was doing, and it it caused some issues with me and that business partner because he was kind of afraid of me after that. That I still
I
think.
could see that.
I think it's funny to this day. Yeah.
So the all they're at it again. Let me try that again. All of you who are watching us right now, do you have any questions? They're just sitting there laughing. My spirit team is just cracking up at me right now. They think it's funny. And when I was telling you this earlier, when I was doing the readings yesterday, and I said this while I was doing it, they kept singing "This Girl's on Fire" because I was like like every time they spun the wheel to see who went next, it kept landing on me, reading after reading after reading. Okay,
It was your turn.
it was my time. So so if you guys have any questions, let us know and we will be happy to answer those. I was trying to think about, so other than quartz crystals, what's your favorite crystal?
Moldavite.
Why? I mean, I know the answer to that, but
Reminds me of home. Moldavite is for people who don't know, is a stone from space. That's what it is. Um, and I,
it's a meteorite.
yes, it's a meteorite. And I have always loved them. I had a teacher when I was in grade school who had a Moldavite pendant, and I was just always fascinated by it. And she let me hold it one day, and I was like, "Ooh, do you feel that?" And she said, "No, but you do." So I realized that was not the teacher to have that kind of conversation with, and I just handed it back to her. But I've always loved the energy. It's a lot for a lot of people. The vibration is very spacey. Spacey.
Well, it takes you up really quickly. I
Yeah,
mean, you go from 0 to 60 if you're sensitive to energies. There's like no, you just start buzzing. But I have a Moldavite and Druzy quartz necklace that I wear like when I'm doing readings in front of huge groups of people.
yeah. Yeah, it's a really good stone if you feel like your soul originated not on this planet. It is an excellent stone for you because it does provide sort of a protective quality
Mhm.
around people that really resonate with the stone. Um, and what I have found, and I don't know if you found this or not, but I've talked to other people too. Once you find one, you seem to be collecting them, and it happens by accident. There was one year where everyone I knew gave me Moldavite, either a loose stone or a pendant or a bracelet or a ring or something.
So have
And
you use Moldavite incense or Moldavite oil?
I have used the incense. I really like the stones.
It
Uh,
smells really good though. The
yeah,
Moldavite incense smells
you
really
know that my favorite incense of all time, and I cannot find it again. It's called Dolphin Dreamtime,
good.
and it was absolutely exquisite.
So if
And
anyone out there finds Dolphin Dreamtime incense,
yeah,
message Kelly.
you know, it used to be it was all over the place, and then all of a sudden it went away. So I guess people got tired of making it. I don't know.
So you collect Moldavite. I
Mhm.
collect Labradorite.
I have Labradorite too, but I have probably more Moldavite than any other stone.
How is your house still grounded if you have that much Moldavite?
Yeah, carefully. Um, Actually, what I do when I want to ground um, everything,
Mhm,
I walk around and mentally connect straps to the ground, and
mhm.
that's works for me.
Somebody gave you someone to contact in Hawaii to see if they have it.
Lisa Thompson. Okay.
I don't know what it is though. I mean, I've always been drawn to Labradorite. Like I can't get enough of it. As I'm sitting here, I have like 3 pieces on my desk. Um, it's just so interesting to me that that's just out of I mean, and I have a ton of crystals. Don't I may have a ton of different kinds of
Yeah,
crystals.
I do too.
I also really like ammonite shells. The jewelry is ammonite, the shell is ammon. I really like those too. Is there a common stone that helps with anxiety?
I would tend to use rose quartz when I'm having a really anxious day or waiting for news on something. I usually keep rose quartz in my pocket. I am a Libra though, so that could be why it works for me. Um, Clear quartz, again, clear quartz, any kind of stone that will have more of a earth tone to it. A lot of agates are really good for that.
Yeah, blue lace agate is very good for calming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue lace agate is also very good if you want to give birth to a baby girl. As we
No,
know.
I think I'm past that ship, but good to know.
When I was pregnant with my daughter, I was so, her father was incredibly abusive.
Mhm.
And I was so, please don't let it be a boy. Please don't let it be a boy. Please don't let it be a boy. And I had a friend who was a shaman. I
Mhm.
have a lot of shaman friends for some reason. I don't know. And she said, here, put this in your pocket. And she handed me blue lace agate. And
Mhm.
she says, no, 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 not your right pocket, your left pocket. Has to be in your left pocket. Keep it there 24 hours a day for a week. Okay. And I have my daughter, so it worked. I want to believe that it worked.
So, is there any surprise that people would believe that I'm a Scorpio?
Mm-mm. I picked you for a Scorpio before I ever knew.
And that I have a lot of master numbers in my chart?
Yeah,
I have a friend who does Vedic astrology, and she opened my chart once, and she's like, "Who the hell are you?"
yeah.
So I'm like,
I've gotten
"Same
that.
person I was before you looked at my chart."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You know, when I was in Sedona, the one time I took myself on a trip by myself, I went to Sedona. And I was out hiking all day, and I spent a lot of the day by myself, and then I went to the store, and I'm like, "Oh, they do aura photos. I really wanna have my aura photo taken." Now, the people in the store have ignored me for, like, the 3 days that I've been going there to play with the crystals.
Mm.
So I take my aura photo, and they come and they give it to me, and then they were falling all over themselves. They're like, "I've never seen anyone be all blue before."
Yeah.
Your entire aura photo is blue. Who are you? I'm like the same person you were ignoring 10 minutes ago.
Absolutely. I wonder if it's the same place I went into because I kind of had the same thing. They ignored me until they saw my aura photo.
Uh-huh.
And then they were like, where did you come from? Why are you here? What are you doing? Just be me.
And I hired this guy, this company to take me on a tour in Sedona, and I was supposed to go by myself, but then these other people wanted to go. And I thought it was hysterical because I ended up giving the tour. They're like, well, what are you getting here? What are you getting here? What are you getting here? I'm like, I'm paying you.
Right.
So I thought that was really funny. So when I go on tours now, I usually don't say anything anymore.
Yeah, I don't like to say anything until towards the end of the tour, or maybe when we're walking back from the tour,
Uh-huh.
then I'll say something. But yeah, I was on a horse trail ride one time, and I have to specify horse because there were also bicyclists on the trail, and people with side by side. It was crazy. Not good for the horses either, I might add. But we got to a point and there was a rattlesnake on the path. And horses and no, horses and snakes don't get along. So I got off the horse and everybody was watching. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I knelt down and I said, I understand this is your favorite place in the path, but we need to get through. Can you move, please? And the snake moved. And I walked back, got back on the horse. We went down the trail. And they were like the whole way. Uh, and it's like nobody saw anything after that. We were going through all this beautiful scenery and caves. Nobody saw anything after that. They were just absolutely
Well,
blown.
come on, that's a little unusual to go have a conversation with a rattlesnake.
It just, a snake is one of my totem animals.
Mm.
So I've always been very comfortable with them. The people, I don't know what they were really to me, but they kept me when I was very little. Somewhere on the planet, there is a picture of 2-year-old me wrapped head to toe in emerald tree boas with the snake's head right here. So, I've just never been afraid of them. I've always had that snake medicine, but it totally derailed that entire trail ride, and had I thought about it before I did it, I may not have done it. But I'm like, you're telling me there's a snake up there. I'm further back. I'm like the third horse back. I don't see the snake from where I am.
Mm.
So I just took care of the situation. They don't return my phone calls anymore.
Can't imagine why.
But that, you find when you find your medicine,
Uh-huh.
you know what it is, and you can do things that people think are a little spooky.
Mm. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about today or that you feel that we need to cover?
I think we all of us, really need to be paying more attention to our energy and what we're sending out.
Mhm.
Because when I go into a deep meditation and I end up floating somewhere in the ethers and I look down and I see all these thought forms running around, causing trouble, making
Mm.
people hate each other, that's a problem. And we can do better than that.
Mhm. So again, if you're watching us on the recordings, please go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, like our page, share the video with other people. We would really appreciate that. And I guess that is an episode for today. We will see you guys all again next week. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.